Okay, welcome to this episode of the Book Marketing Success Podcast. Today, I have Carolyn Wilman, who's the author of You Can't Win If You Don't Enter and How to Win Cash. Plus, she's the republisher of a wonderful book on the Name It and Claim It game, which is all about the selected, projected, collected, and expected manifestation system. I love that name. And so, Carolyn, I wanted to first talk a little bit about that expected, collected, what is it? Expected, projected, collected, expected manifestation system. And you can also, as you talk about that, speak a little bit about how you ended up owning the rights to the program.
Well, Helene Hadsell is the author of that book, and she was a really fun woman who loved to play with words, which is why it is such a tongue twister for you to say her manifestation system that she developed. Now, she didn't actually develop it. I mean, it's been around forever.
Right.
Everybody's familiar with The Secret. You ask, you believe, you receive, right? She just turned it into 4 because she felt it was missing a step. And she called it, because she liked to play with words, SPEC, select it, project it, expect it, collect it. And so it rolls off the tongue a little bit. And SPEC is select it, is pick what you want. What do you want? And you have to be sure it's what you want. And then project it means put it out to the universe. You can meditate on it. She used to do something with 3x5 cards. She'd write on them vertically and just put one word prompts as to what she wanted. So like a mini vision board. She'd paste them in her bathroom, in her kitchen, in her car. And then expect it, which is, I think, the part that people struggle with the most, is actually believing it's going to happen. Right? And that's where she says, that's where you need to meditate. That's her, she gives a meditation exercise that she would do to expect it. And then, of course, collect it is the easy part. Pick up the keys to the house, go sign the papers for the new car, accept that new job, go on that date, whatever it is.
Or publish your book and
Yes.
make it a success. And a lot of that has to do with, you already know this, that you have to really go through this system anyway, in one way or another, in order to stick by a book, because you have to write the book. And in the meantime, you're having to start to build an audience for the book or the subject, and then you have to publish the book. Then you have to market the book, and you have all these steps and all these things you have to do. But if you don't believe and expect that it's going to result in something, you'll probably stop somewhere in the middle. Or what I see
Right.
happen a lot is people finish the book and then they forget to market it. And marketing to me is all about, visualization, expectation, building relationships, all of those things that go into, manifesting something.
Right. And there's lots of ways to market. It's so much easier now than it was when Helene was
Right.
doing it. You had to get into the newspaper or hope that someone from a radio station or TV station called you. Now you have it at your fingertips. You got a cell phone. You can turn it on. You can open TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. I don't know. Pick a platform and off you go. You don't have to wait for anybody to call you to get the word out there
Right.
about your book. Now, I have to say, I do have a bit of a built-in audience for me because everybody wants to know how to win. So I was a little bit ahead of the curve because who doesn't like to win things? And I wasn't the first sweepstakes book, and I'm definitely not going to be the last sweepstakes,
Right.
author out there. But I was somewhere in the middle, and I've written different ones focusing on the changes in the hobby, because the hobby has exponentially sped up and changed over time because of the internet. And so it's given me a reason to put another book. But as you were saying, the select it, project it, expect it, collect it, Helene still took action. Like, you still have to take action. You're not going to get the job if you don't go and apply for it. The book's not going to write itself.
Right. In fact, well, you always hope it will, but the reality is the book, you have to do it, but the book also won't market itself.
No, it won't market itself either. There's a whole process. But I think if people get intimidated with the whole process, it's like, the old dad joke, how to eat an elephant one bite at a time. Don't focus on marketing your book if you're still caught up in the middle of writing and it's overwhelming for you. It's okay to wait. It might take a little longer to ramp things up, but if it's overwhelming, it's better to focus on the task in front of you and get that done, and then market your book.
I agree with that for the most part, but I do believe that people should be starting to build the relationships that will make a difference. As you research a book or you start writing a book, you start getting in contact with other people that write about the same subject or think about it or
Mm,
talk about it and so on. So building those relationships as you write a book is worthwhile, because at some point you can call that in and say, would you have me on your podcast? Would you have me, do something or so on?
yes.
But you're
Oh,
right.
that's true. I see what you're saying. I thought you meant general marketing. Yeah, I've had to build all those relationships in my book, because in even the first one, you can't win if you don't enter. I have resources from all the sweepstakes aggregates to the companies that were running promotions to, web links to sweepstakes supplies to tools that run the programs. And I interviewed all the people behind those URLs, and it was a lot of fun. And I've made friends. That's something that probably applies to other writers. I always say it applies to the sweepstakes hobby, but I say it applies to the sweepstakes hobby, but I don't know. It might apply to other authors too, but I have made lifelong friends from this process that I never would have expected that occurring
Yes.
from doing this.
And that's one of the really nice things about building relationships and marketing. It can actually be fun because you're building friendships. And that really, I have so many golden friendships. I've lost a few people over the years, as we age, that happens. But there's
Mm.
so many good people out there that I call my friends, who I primarily have a business relationship with, but I really think of them as friends as well. So, to me, that's still a very important part of marketing, is just having those friendships and dealing with them, and, reconnecting with people. And it's surprising how many people would be happy to help you if you simply ask.
Oh my gosh. Yes, you're amazed. That's one of the things that I wanted to talk to your audience about, was a lesson I learned in asking, because in 2008, I had a podcast before it was cool, and it's long gone. And I was lucky enough to have Helene Hadsell on my show. Now, the reason I knew about her is because at some point, every sweepstaker hears about the woman who won every prize she desired, including a fully furnished home. She actually tells about those adventures in her book. And so I had her on my podcast, and I was so cheeky. We were off air before we started recording, and it was like the old days. Like, it wasn't like this. I had to phone in on a landline. She
Right.
phoned in on a landline. We connected on the computer. It was so old school. There's no volume control, nothing. And I asked her off air, I said, could I come visit you? And she said, no. And I thought, okay. So. And then 3 days later, she phones me back and said, your guides, meaning my spirit guides, are so loud, because she was highly intuitive. She said, you better come and visit. And I think that's why I was kind of destined to pick up her gauntlet and run with it and take her legacy and, mix it into mine and make sure that what she taught didn't die. And, but then I, my life just took a left turn and I didn't do anything with it till 2019. And then I thought, her son Dyke is still alive, but now he's in his 70s. I better do something with this because he still ran Delta Sciences, which was her company. And so I got a hold of him and I said, let's republish this. And he said, yeah. And he had lots of other people asking, but I think he knew from talking to her that I was kind of the one that was supposed to do it. And so I began, and then I realized that I didn't own the rights yet to the books. And I thought, I better ask. And I was terrified to ask. I don't know why, but I was scared. And I, mustered up the gumption and I asked, and he said, okay. And I thought, what was I so scared of? And I lost nothing by asking. And I even, I came up with what I thought was a fair amount. He agreed. I borrowed the money because I wasn't, and it was just before the pandemic hit, which, nearly wiped out my business, which it did for a lot of people. But it also gave me the time to write, coincidentally. And I was able to republish 2 of her books in 2020. She had 4. And I might have found, this is kind of like an exclusive announcement. I went down to her house in Texas. It had been closed for 12 years. And I reclaimed what was left of her paperwork. But I might have found enough information to write a 5th book, like the unpublished works of Helene Hadsell or something. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far yet. I still want to finish doing all these other books I have on my plate before I delve into that.
But it would be fun to do when you have something like that, a treasure trove of information and so on. I suspect there's probably a 6th or 7th book in there as well.
I don't know. Let me go one at a
not,
time. No
yeah,
pressure. One at a time.
not to overwhelm you. I didn't want to do that. Obviously, you do it one at a time. You can't do 18 things at once. I try, but I can tell you it doesn't work.
We're cut from the same cloth. I do the same. I do the same.
Yeah, but the disadvantage of that for me is that many things don't get done that I want to get done because I'm, trying to do 18 things at once. And I've learned that I have to focus. I have to set aside the time to finish one book before I move on to a second book. You can collect information and things like that, but you can't be writing 3 books at once. It doesn't work well.
No, it wouldn't work well. So I have her files sitting in a box, in a banker's box in my office, and I have 2 boxes of diskettes. I ended up having to go to the, raggedy old computer store in town and buy an old 46 machine, which he had to jerry rig with an external 3¼ inch floppy disk drive. So it's missing a side and he duct taped this drive to the top, but it worked. But I was only able to get the information off about half the diskettes. So I got to figure out how to clean them and stuff. But that's for another day. I'm like, okay, I don't have time. I need to keep writing. I can't keep digging. This is
Right.
enough. This is enough digging for now. We're going to leave the archaeological project for a bit.
Yeah. But I wanted, the reason I looked forward to talking to you, we connected through Matchmaker, was to talk a little bit about the selected, projected, expected, collected, because I think that too many authors don't know what to do once they get a book done. They're going, okay, now how do I market it? And I think that part of that is that you really have to go through a system like this. It could be a different system, but something like that, in order to manifest your book and really get people to know about the book and start to appreciate it, share it, and so on. Because to me, the main job of an author in marketing is to start the word of mouth. Find
Right.
five people that will talk about it, and then they'll talk about it to their friends, and their friends will talk to it about other people. Because if you try to do it just on your own, it can be more difficult. But if you can find and feel passionate people that love what you're doing and want to talk about it, want to share it, it really does make a difference. Then you can start to manifest it. I suspect that, it's sort of like your one book title, you can't win if you don't enter, you know, and
Well,
and
it's
that's
true.
very true. You can't. And it's the same with like asking. You don't get an answer if you don't ask.
Well, that's exactly right. Like, I wouldn't have the rights to her book unless I asked. Now, he could have said no, but I'm in the same position either way then, right? But I asked and I got a yes. And you'd be surprised at how many yeses you get. I think we underestimate ourselves in life. And also, as for the book marketing, connect with people and connect with groups online, because I also do social media. And it depends on what your book is. So for example, if it's a cookbook, you're going to want to connect with other chefs, find food groups online and different things, and connect with those. If you've got a cookbook, you're just ripe for food talk on TikTok and all those Instagram reels with those dripping recipes that people just want to make. Right? If you've got a historical romance, I've seen some authors on TikTok doing reels where they're talking about the heroine as if it was themselves. And so you're listening to this person going, "Oh my gosh, this sounds crazy, this story." And then you realize it's a book, but they've got you hooked, right? Because they're talking about this. I was here and I was there. So they put themselves in the heroine's position. If you've got, a nonfiction how-to book, then connect with the group. So if you're into, if it's about cars, you're going to want to connect to those groups. If you've got, there's so many different places you can go to connect with people that are around the interest of what you're writing. Because if you're interested in it and you think that there's enough of an audience to write a book for it, go find those people, because they are out there.
Yeah, you could have the most obscure thing that you're talking about or writing about, and you'd be surprised. There's 100,000, 500,000 people that are interested in the same obscure thing, no matter what it is. And if you're doing something like what you do, which is how to win, your
Oh,
audience is huge, obviously.
yeah, a little bit. That's a little bit biased. And actually, it's a global hobby. I'm looking to remedy that, because my first two books were only available in Canada and the US. And it's actually a global hobby. It's huge in the UK. It's in Australia. There's, believe it or not, India loves entering contests.
I bet.
Huge, huge hobby there. I mean, it's amazing how you don't think about it until you realize it. Because you know what it is? Giveaways are one form of marketing. So
Right.
every company in the world markets their products and services. And at one point or another, most of them do host a giveaway. And
Right.
so it's, one tool in a marketer's tool belt. So it's really fun, because there's so many different weird and wonderful things you can win. I don't know if you can tell on camera, I'm a little bit tanned. We just got back from Mexico. I won a trip. I
Yeah,
love this hobby.
before before we got into the talk, you said you also won a trip at one point to my home town, Taos and Santa Fe.
Yes, it was stunning. I had entered this giveaway and we won um, stays in Santa Fe and Taos, and there was no airfare. And I thought, why would I enter a contest without airfare? So I was going to turn down the prize, but I went and I started looking, and I thought, this looks really nice. Maybe we should go and just use our air miles or something. And so we did. We cashed in a bunch of air miles, and my husband and I came to Santa Fe and to Taos. We rented a car, it was stunning. Nobody thinks that, you never really see trips to those destinations. Everybody should go visit at least once. It was fantastic. The food was amazing. The scenery was spectacular. We went hiking, we went touring. It poured rain the whole time we were there. We came in April. Nobody knew what to do with the rain because everything was leaking because everything's flat, like all the Adobe style houses with the
Right.
flat roofs. There was buckets. Every store we went into had a bucket somewhere collecting rainwater. But it was, yeah, so it became an unforgettable, amazing adventure. It was fantastic. And so that's something, like, I'm talking about it now. It was almost 20 years ago I came in 2004. But it feels like yesterday, and I will have that memory forever. And that is the wonderful benefit of entering sweepstakes as a hobby. And I think Helene discovered that too, because she traveled all over the world on trip wins and different places they went and things she won. Because that's the other cool thing. I won. There was a contest up here and near where I live, and I won. My family, everybody, I won them a pair of running shoes. So it's so practical, right? I love practical prizes. I won a grocery gift card that I just put in my wallet today. Like, saves me money. It's fantastic. I love it.
Yeah, and the thing is, part of what you're talking about is one of the really good ways to market a book is to create experiences, to tell stories. And that really
Yeah.
makes a difference. It makes more people want to get involved in what you're doing. When you tell a good story, like, I want to go enter some contests now. You know, it's not something I do normally, but gosh, it sounds like fun. And
It is
I
fun.
I
I
remember when my mom won at the county fair. She won a new sofa, you know,
Really?
and there we were in the stands, and they call out our name, and we win something, and that was fun. And
Oh,
I'm sure you had to do something to enter the win, but I don't know what it was. But that was fun. For us, it was a big event, and we got new furniture.
yeah, that's the thing. But I'm gonna pre-warn your readers with a few things. One, always open a new email address just for entering sweepstakes. Trust me on this one. I learned the hard way. It took me 6 months. I used my work email because I had my own business, and I did not know. This is why I'm such a good teacher, by the way. I've made every mistake under the sun. Do as I say, not as I did, because I obviously fixed all the things.
Right.
So set up an email just for entering sweepstakes. Then use something called a sweepstakes aggregate. What's really nice is there's websites, then that's their business and their passion and their joy, and they collect all the legitimate sweepstakes that you can enter. So you don't have to go hunting yourself. You can just go to one of the aggregates. I made my website the hub of all things contesting. So I put all the resources in one place, because when I started doing this as a hobby in 2002, or rather 2001, there was no resource. I had to go and find this and find that. And so I put it all in one place. And that's been since 2005. So in a couple of years, I'm going to have my 20th anniversary of helping people win, which is kind of cool.
I did something similar on my website where, you know, for book authors, I feature a list of book printers. I feature a list of book publicists, uh, a number of things like that to help people so that they don't have to, go, searching down all kinds of weird internet cubby holes to find something when they can just come to my site and they can find the printer that they will want to use, the publicist, the graphic designers, and so on and so forth. So I try to make my website at bookmarketingbestsellers.com to be a resource center for people. And what's your website that you've
It's
created?
It's contestqueen.com. But
Okay.
yeah, it's nice. See, I said before the interview, you and I are cut from the same cloth.
Yeah.
And so we both love to help people. You like to help people win in book publishing, and I literally like to help people win sweepstakes. But it's the same form of help, and it's the same feeling. There's nothing. Well, I've done it, but I've also seen other authors do unboxings. You know, when their first batch of books shows up at their house, and
Right.
they're so excited. I mean, I know that feeling. I always congratulate them. Yay! I know what it's. How exciting to open a box of your books, right? Like, there's no better feeling. It feels like a prize showed up, honestly. It really
Right.
does. It's the
Right.
same feeling. I know both. So
Yeah.
I can attest.
And when I started off, you didn't do unboxing. It was a solitary experience. Maybe you had a friend with you, but you didn't video it. You didn't do anything because this was back in the 80s.
Well, I did it in the 90s, but yeah, I didn't film my first unboxings. Actually, I don't think it was till my third book that I took a picture, because nobody was doing video yet. It was still pictures on Facebook. So I think that's about as far as it got. And I think,
Right.
did I post on? I might have posted it on Instagram. I don't know. But now, even when a prize arrives, or I get some merch that I get swag with logos. My daughter is an illustration at the art university in Toronto. So she should do all of her mom's merch for free, all the all the design, right? And so I have, I'm lucky buttons and stickers, and she's got one called Prize Magnet. I've got her working on one called Winner Winner Chicken Dinner. Just as something fun. So if I do, of course, I hold giveaways. Hello, I'm the contest queen. When I give away books and stuff, sometimes I'll throw in, some stickers or some other little things in there. So when they open it up, they're surprised. It's really fun. I love actually both sides of the hobby. And unfortunately, I don't make my living winning. And part of my living is being an author, but the other part is being a sweepstakes marketer. So I work with companies on actually running giveaways and
Okay.
drawing the winners and doing all the follow-up report, which actually has made me even a better sweepstakes teacher, because then I see things on the back end that
Right.
I would never have known to teach people had I only been teaching from the front end, so to speak. So it's really interesting to sit on both sides of the table.
There are a lot of things now on the internet where they'll do an author giveaway where 20 authors get together. Somebody organizes it, and they each give away a book or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And that seems to work pretty well in terms of promotion and helping you to build an audience and visibility and things like that. And they have different names for it and different ways that it works and so on. But I think it's important in today's world that you think about giving something away. If somebody wanted to organize a giveaway for their book or books or something like that, who would they talk to? Do they reach you through Contest Queen or something else?
Well, actually, I was going to say, I think those book giveaways are really great, because what happens is these are companies set up to do book promotions, and they charge you, like, I don't know, it depends on 20, 30, 50 bucks just to participate. But they do all the emailing and promotion for you, which is fantastic, because they have the email list and they buy the prize. So it's usually they give away a Kindle. And so the money that all, 20 authors pay covers, the cost of the Kindle, the cost of running the business, because, email servers aren't free to use, and, et cetera. And then it covers all that cost. And of course, you're supporting the business, and you get your name out there with a bunch of other authors. But you can also do it yourself on Instagram's probably one of the better ones to do it on, because of the way the platform works. But you can host them on Facebook, on TikTok. Sweepstakes season is coming up, and I'll tell everybody what that is. For the month of December, every company that you can think of is hosting a giveaway. And a lot of them do 12 days of giveaways, 24 days of giveaways, and it's just flooded. So if you're new to this, avoid December. Wait till January when everything's quieted down and people are looking for something new to do. But it will give you a chance to see what other people are doing in the month of December and how they're doing them. And then you can emulate that in the new year. And it doesn't have to cost you a lot. I've done giveaways when I've cleaned up my office because there's actually sweepstakes conventions. I've been to 12 of them. The next one is close to you. It's in Scottsdale, Arizona. And it's, 4 days, and there's like 500 people that like to enter sweepstakes come, and we listen to speakers and we win prizes. Of course we win prizes. That's what we do. But I used to get a lot of swag, like buttons, t-shirts, like all these things with Lucky and this and that. And one time I was cleaning up my office. I thought, my office is really small. I don't have room for all this stuff. And I literally sorted it, grouped it into clumps of similar prizes. So it was kind of spread out. I had 5 prizes. I took pictures of them. I just put it on the floor, stood over it, took a picture, and had giveaways on Instagram once a week for 5 weeks. And I gave the stuff away. So here I am. I'm something to post, something to promote. And it didn't cost me anything because it was all stuff I had collected over time. And I even said that, hey, I'm cleaning out my office. This is week 2. Here's what's in this prize pack. They know that some of it, I probably wore the scarf, with the 4-leaf clovers on it that I stuck in, or I might have worn the pin that's in there. Nobody cared.
They just want to win.
They just wanted to win it. And, maybe they would wear it to the next sweepstakes convention or to a sweepstakes club meeting. Yes, there's those too. And I highly recommend if another sweepstakes book. I know we're talking about me, but The Prize Winner of Defiance, Ohio is a fantastic book. I kind of like the book better than the movie, but both are fantastic. The movie was actually filmed in the town next to me. Because when Julianne Moore was here filming, I spotted her downtown. She was shopping. And so yeah, that's another book about winners. And they talk about the sweepstakes clubs. Back in the day, like the hobby's been around. That's the other thing people don't realize. Sweepstakes as a hobby has been around since the 1900s. I collect sweepstakes books, and I have some marketing books about sweepstakes dating back to the 1930s. And they talk about the hobby as a marketing tool. So it's been, around for easily 120, 125 years that I have record of. It's probably longer than that. And so it's not going away anytime soon. So it's lots of opportunity to use giveaways as a marketing tool for your books.
Yes. And, the neat thing is that you can, another social network that you didn't mention that does a lot of giveaways is Goodreads.
Yes, I forgot about that. Yeah.
At
Well,
least
they
for
used
books.
to be free and now they charge for it. But again, it's because what most people don't realize is it costs the web. Well, you know this because you have a website. People think if stuff is free and the internet is free to access, that it should be free, but it's not free for me. You and I both pay web hosting. We pay for the mail, email service. We pay for, we met on Matchmaker, but we had to subscribe to Matchmaker to find each other. So these things all add up. And so Goodreads now charges, I think it's $100 US to run a giveaway on their platform.
Yeah.
Which I will do when I'm actually working on my next book called Prizes Everywhere. So I'll be hosting a giveaway. Of course I'll be hosting a giveaway. That's what else would the contest going to do?
Well, actually, doing that, you must, it must get you to open up and find a lot of new people that are interested in contesting when you do a giveaway. And those, of course, are the people that are your audience to
Well,
buy your book.
it's
Or books.
interesting that there seems to be a split audience, which I I am so positive. I think you see in the world only what you want to see. It's like when you play the punch buggy game, when you were a kid in the car and you're going on a long road trip. And so you spot all these Volkswagen Beetles everywhere, punch buggy blue, punch buggy red, you spot them. But if you weren't playing the game, you wouldn't see a single Volkswagen. And so I'm only ever looking for the positive, fun people. And so that's what I ever see. But there's so many skeptics out there that think sweepstakes are a scam and nobody ever wins. And I'm here to tell you that they do. And there's lots of people that do. And so you've got to reach through to those skeptics and let them know that, yeah, it's not a scam. But that is one of the reasons you do set up an email address just for entering, because you are going to want to sign up. Certain companies host giveaways all the time, so you want to sign up for their newsletter, and you don't want that mixed in with all your other stuff. Yeah. And it's also then easier to check for winning notifications. Like, we were in Mexico, and then we went a day without internet because I shut my phone part off and I just turn on the Wi-Fi, keep it in airplane mode. That's a tip, by the way. But I tell people, check your notifications because you only have a certain amount of time to claim a prize. And we went off grid for a day, having fun on a tour. And the next day I checked all my notifications and I had won a $200 grocery gift card. And I thought, oh, thank goodness I checked. Because if I'd waited till I come back, I wouldn't have had it. I would have missed out. And so I can market. And I was marketing my books even when I was away, because I talk about how to win, being on a trip win. I was taking advantage of the fact I was somewhere tropical and saying to people, hey, do you like to win stuff? You can. Here, look at all the palm trees and the drink and the beach and the
It's a great way. I mean, you probably, or at least I hope you did, made about 20 videos of all your vacation experience that you could share with the people and say it's all from winning.
I did not make as many as I would have liked because a couple of things happened to me. One, I was having too good a time. I didn't want to work.
Yeah.
Two, I did try to film some. Another part was I was doing for my marketing business, and I just never got around to filming one for that. And I'm like, I'm having too good a time. I'd rather drink the mango margarita in the pool to get my camera out and start working, because I did have a client issue on one day, and I ended up spending a couple hours in the hotel room. I wanted to go sit in the balcony, and I took my laptop out, and it was so humid, and the room is so air conditioned that the entire computer immediately fogged up. And I thought, uh-oh, right back in. I thought, I don't get the luxury of sitting on the balcony to work. So I came back in the room and I thought, this is my spec. How do I manifest a life where I can be in the tropics so I can work half a day and then go spend half a day on the beach? How do I do that? What do I need to do to live that life?
Yeah.
And it might not show up right away, which is okay. But I've put that out there because I'm like, I would like to retire and wear flip-flops all day, which I know it's not good for your feet, but I don't care.
But so at some point, you're going to do the selected, projected, expected, collected for that tropical paradise.
Oh, I've already done the select it and project it. And I do expect it. Actually, what's interesting is I expect it, but I don't know when I'll collect it. And I don't see it happening time soon. Now, that's the other thing people need to remember with Helene's methods. They don't happen. They can happen instantly. Like, you could think, oh, I would love to have more money in my life, and walk down the street and find a dollar or a quarter. Well, guess what? You just got more money in your life. Or people who say, I want to win the lottery. And then they go buy a scratcher and they win $2 and they think, oh, I didn't win. I'm like, no, you did win the lottery. You weren't specific. You didn't say the grand prize. You said, I want to win the lottery. You won $2. You won the lottery.
I just saw yesterday that some guy in California won $2 billion in a lottery.
Oh, the Powerball won, huh?
Yeah, somebody
Wow.
won it. You know, uh,
Wow. One
I,
person.
yeah, and somehow that's almost too much for me. I think it would overwhelm me, but I would give it all away as quickly as I could and just save a little piece for me.
Well, what's interesting is since we're on the topic of lottery, 75% of all lottery winners usually lose their fortune within 5 years of winning because um, what happens is money gives you more choice, and some people's internal systems can't handle that choice. And so it basically fries out their psychic system and they end up losing the money. And sometimes people say winning the lottery was the worst thing that could ever happen. And this is why I like to teach spec, because Helene never won the lottery. Now, firstly, Texas, where she lived, didn't have a state lottery until 1992, and she'd won everything she'd wanted by then. So she's like, why do I need to win the lottery? And I tell people to focus on the end result, because so for example, you want a house, okay? And so people say, well, I want to win the lottery so I'll have the money to buy the house. Well, just why don't you just focus on the house and see
Right.
how it shows up? Because, some great cousin that you never knew of passes away and leaves you their estate, for example, because you're the only living relative that inherits it. It could show up. You don't know that. Like you just don't know what could happen to manifest that home. Like Helene won a fully furnished home. She didn't need to win the lottery. She just won the home. That was the
Right.
end, right? Like, so it's important to think of the end result. And it's more important with intangible things. Like you want a job. So you can't just go and win the lottery and buy a job. Like that's not going to work. You don't need the money. Or you want a partner in your life. You can't go buy that either. So you focus on the end result. What do you want? What do you want? And it's usually you want to win the lottery because then you have more choice, you have more freedom. Well, then focus on the freedom. How do I get more freedom? Well, then that could come in ways you might not expect. I'll give you a concrete example. Every January, I do a new vision board for the year. And I heard that if you put two of the same things or similar things on, they could conflict and you might end up with two things you can't handle, or they'll cancel each other out. And I was aware of that, but Helene worked with Jose Silva for years. And I actually had read his book, but I never took his course. And I thought I would like to take the course like Helene took. So I put that on my vision board, but Mind Valley also licensed the rights to the Silva method. And they also had a program, a more modern program out. And I thought, maybe I want that one. I don't know. So I thought, being aware of this, I put them both on my vision board. 3 weeks later, out of the blue, on my Instagram, I get a message from a woman saying, I dreamt about you last night, and I'm wondering if I'm cleaning out my house, and I had the feeling that I should be sending you this. Do you have a tape recorder? Can I send you my original Silva tapes? And I'm like, what? Like, I could never have planned that in a bazillion years. Here I'm thinking, I'm going to have to scour, thrift stores for some old programs or look on eBay or something. And I hadn't had time to do that yet because I just practically finished up the vision board. And I was trying to decide which of the Mind Valley programs I was going to get this Silva method. And then I said, yeah. So she mailed it to me. I don't know if you can see it, but it's right behind my head. Where is it? There. With the camera, it's right there. That right there. I don't know how to do looking at the camera and then looking at.
I
And
know. I
then
do that all the time. Wondering
3
which
weeks
side.
later, she phones me and goes, hey, I also happen to have the Mind Valley course, and I'm not going to be using it any either. Would you like that too? I'm like, yes. So she sent me both. I have both programs, and I'm like, I can't. I just so you don't focus on how you're going to get them. I could never have planned that, which is my point. Because when you put it out there, you just allow the universe to move the pieces and work on the how and just let it show up. because most of the time it shows up in ways you could never, ever, 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 ever think of. And it's such a fun story now, too. So, on top of having both programs, I have a fantastic story to tell to help teach others.
I love collecting stories to tell people, and it's really interesting when it happens. Sometimes, like one time, I was speaking to the National Speakers Association, and before they introduced me, I was sicker than a dog. I mean,
Oh,
I
no.
was not feeling well. But I have to speak, and there's like 300, 400 people in the audience, and they introduced me. I get up on stage, and for an hour or an hour and a half, I forget what it was, I spoke, and I was just giving them information. But the minute I finished speaking, boom, I crashed. I mean, I just, but it was a great story. But during the time of doing it, it didn't feel that great. So sometimes you collect stories, but you do it in a way that really does allow you to tell a story that can help educate people. You know, when I was younger, I was so afraid of speaking. I couldn't speak. Getting up in front of somebody was hard to do. Nowadays, I push people off the stage so I can start to speak. If they take too long introducing me, I say, enough, enough, come on, let me talk, you know, so that's part of what you have to do. Let's say if you want to get out there and do something, is you've got to take the risk once in a while and do the thing. And then you'll find that you actually love it. And
Well,
now it's hard to get me off the stage.
I want to ask the interview a question
Oh,
because uh, are you a Toastmaster?
I'm not.
You're
I,
not.
I attended one or two sessions. My wife wanted to go, so I went with her. And she went to 3 or 4 sessions, and I was there. But this is when I was already, speaking around the country, around the world. So,
Okay.
the Toastmasters for me wasn't that valuable. I mean, I could understand how Toastmasters can still teach you how to write a speech, how to do some things, how to, you know, perhaps present better. But by that time, I was already, speaking everywhere. So I didn't, but I did. I love National Speakers Association because it's really full of professionals, and it was the way that, you know, uh, people that became my friends, Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen, wrote Chicken Soup for the Soul. They just basically collected 100 stories from speakers, and that was the first Chicken Soup for the Soul. And boy, I wish I had thought of that idea because, boy, having a book with 100 speakers behind it, it's got to be gold, and it was.
Well, I was curious because I've been a Toastmaster for 17 years and it really helped me because when I started, I was terrified to speak.
Right.
I read my first speech. I shook so bad during my second speech, I dropped all the 3x5 cards, which is when I learned I needed to number them because I picked them all up and I had no idea what order my speech was in. It was terrible. But I've remained a speaker. And actually, it's funny that Mark Victor Hansen because it's his fault I wrote a book. I read his 1 Minute Millionaire, and he said, write a book in 30 days and make $1 million. And I'm still waiting for my $1 million mark. Like, what?
But the thing is, there are people that did exactly
They
that.
do. Yeah, they do. And you know what? I mean, I joke, but it was part of my path. I'm on book 7, so it basically opened the door and started me down that path. And I kind of knew, like, even though the first book didn't do as well as I wanted it to, I was compelled to write another one. I've got a list of about 4 or 5 other books I want to write. That's why when I say I found Helene's stuff, I'm like, oh, I want to finish Prizes Everywhere. I've got to finish her book, A Man Called Friday. I want to republish that. Then I have an idea for a book called Winning is an Inside Job. I want to do a handbook to the Name It and Claim It game. And I mean, it's already 4 more I got to finish. And I'm like, no, I don't want to add to the file.
But back to what you were saying about Toastmasters, that's an incredibly great program for people who haven't
Right.
who don't speak, who are afraid of it, because it's such a supportive environment for the most part. You have to have
Yeah.
you have to have a good leader so that people aren't nitpicking you and things like that. But it can be such a supportive environment, and I saw that when I attended with my wife, and that really can make a lot of difference in terms of you coming to know how to speak and be comfortable with it. So I do encourage a lot of people, if you are afraid of speaking, find the local Toastmasters. They can really help you.
Yeah, and they're online now too. Like, unfortunately, our group used to meet in the local library, which was great. And then the pandemic hit, so we all moved over to Zoom, and we just stayed on Zoom. We're still on Zoom, which is actually kind of nice, because on days where the weather isn't so great, you can just sit in your home office and meet. But yeah, I highly recommend it, because I came over so many hurdles. But like you, now you can stick me in front of a room of 1,000 people. I have no problem talking. But before I started doing, one of the reasons I joined is my book got popular enough to be on television. Here I am in a live television studio, terrified. And I thought, okay, I better, because I had known about Toastmasters for years, but always afraid to go. And then I started getting on TV, and I thought, okay, I've got to do something. This is ridiculous. And so that's when I started. And I haven't stopped being a member, because I just love it so much. Like, I have the skills I need. I don't have to be a member anymore, but I just love it. So I just stay, because I just
Well,
feel like I get so much out of it.
and you don't always stay for yourself. You sometimes stay to share with other people and support
Yeah.
them. I mean, I did that through a number of different organizations I've been with over the years, where I stayed because I wanted to support people. And I used to have, for our local librarian, the librarian there loved me, and he'd allow me to use the room for free. Usually they charge, but I'd give talks on how to write, or how to market a book. And you always had a good number of people come, even in just my local community. And, I kind of like that kind of um, interaction with people. So I still love speaking, because it's a way to, I always learn more. I go to a convention, I go to a speaking engagement. I'm always learning more than the people learn from me, because I'm like a vampire. I suck the brains out of the ideas out of people, because I enjoy that. That's what I really enjoy. I love new stories. I love new ideas. I love new resources. And so right now, today, I found about Contest Queen, and so who knows? It may enter a new era of my life. uh, but
Well,
I
don't
like.
laugh. I know a lot of people. So one of the things is when a lot of people come to the hobby in different stages. So in the past, it used to be a lot of new moms, because they'd be up late at night, and, with the kids. And so you could sit and enter 3x5s. That used to be the hobby. Or now you're scrolling, on your phone, and you could just be entering on your phone. I used to enter on the computer. When I was with my daughter, she'd be sleeping in my arms, and I'd have my mouse, and I'm one-handed, doing this. And a lot of people, when they retire, they have time. So that's when they can start doing the giveaways. And what's really good is there's lots of trip giveaways. So if you got your passport ready, especially if you're retired, or like me, work from home, you can just go at any time. Sure, when's the trip? Let's go. I'm free, so to speak.
Yeah.
And there's lots of things, and then things come in cycles. So I used to enter for all the kids giveaways when my daughter was little, but now she's in university, so I don't do it anymore. But my sweeping buddy Kathy's daughter just had a baby, and so we're all calling her Nana. She's so excited. And now she's like, okay, if anybody sees any giveaways for baby things, or kids things, because the little ones, they grow fast, send them to me, because so now she wants to enter all the baby giveaways again. So it's it's funny how the hobby goes through cycles, and what you want to win. and what is important to you. Because people think, oh, people that do this as a hobby, they just enter for everything. No, 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 no. First of all, companies in the United States alone, even though it's a global hobby, spend billions, like with a B, billions of dollars running promotions. There are so many prizes. Even if you entered 24/7, you still couldn't enter them all. So it's impossible. So you need to use your time wisely. The biggest winners only enter an hour or two a day, and they're very selective on what they enter. They only enter for prizes they really want to win. And also we recommend looking for prizes that have best odds sweepstakes. I do best on all what we call the locals, anything in my kind of concentric circle. So I check out all, once a week, I go to all the local radio station websites to see what giveaways they're doing. Or I'll go, I'll spot something in a shop down the street. Anything in your local area that's going to be, even in the rules, I found one the other day and it said, okay, it's open to the whole area, but you have to come to the store to pick it up. So if you can't go to the store to pick it up, then you're out. So that again makes the pool of potential entrants smaller. So things like that, anything that you can do to increase your odds of winning. But yeah, you don't want to waste your time. You don't want to waste the sponsor's time. You want to be really selective on the prizes. So sometimes I come across something, I'm like, wow, I go, yeah, no. I skip it. I thought, oh gosh, I'm getting so picky because my time is so precious.
When you were just talking, it reminded me that one of the best ways to get booked on radio stations is to offer to give away 5 copies of your book.
Yes, I used to do that actually a long time ago. I actually entered a contest to win a billboard. I didn't win, but I thought it would be fun to promote my next book on a billboard in the city.
Yeah. I have one last question and then we need to end. But if an author was going to create a vision board or do the selected, projected, expected, collected um, uh, system, what would be the best thing for them to ask for? Like, do you want to just sell more books? Do you want to become a famous author? Like, what is the wish that would probably produce the best results under that manifestation system? Do
You
you
know
know?
what? I am going to give the advice that Helene gives in her book. And before she would help anybody or go give a talk or write another book or an article or whatever she was doing, she would say, let me be a channel to help others help themselves. So I would say, whatever your book is, allow my book to get into the hands of people that need it the most. And that even works for fiction. Like if you're writing, romance fiction, well, let it find the people that are gonna just love your stories. If you have a cookbook, who's gonna, have this thing so worn because they've gone through every page and made every recipe. Who's gonna benefit the most from this? I
I
want
love
this
that.
information to go to the people that will benefit the most. And if you focus on that, and I like this quote from Bill Murray. Someone always said to him, oh, I want to be rich and famous. And he goes, just try rich first. Like, don't bother with the famous, just do the rich. And I thought, that's really good advice, Bill. And
And what you
so,
said, the thing is that it's in the motivation to wanting to help people that will help you actually sell the most books. And it's not what's in it for me, it's what is in it for the people that I want to reach and help.
yeah,
And
or have fun or make their lives easier. Because if you're
yeah,
buying fiction stories, you've written this fantastical fiction story, science fiction, historical romance, like whatever your story is, military action book, could be anything. The people that read those books, they want to escape. It's the same reason people go to movies. They just want to escape into another world for a little while. But what's really nice about a book is, the pause button is that bookmark. and you can take it anywhere. Like I love my Kindle because I can have like 30 or 40 books with me, and they come with me on an airplane, and it's thin, and I can just keep reading even in the dark. I love that backlit. And so, but you get lost in the stories. And so even people say, well, my book doesn't really help anybody.
It
Yeah,
does.
it does. It does. Because the people that buy those types of books want to escape for a little while. And they just think it's great to eat, sit on a Sunday morning with a cup of coffee and this book, or take it on vacation. I mean, there's a reason they call them beach novels, right? Because people go on vacation and they just devour them. They just love reading these things when they're chilling or up at the cottage, or just, hey, the kids have gone to school. I got, 20 minutes to myself before I have to do something. I'm going to sit down and read this book and just relax for a little bit. And so it's really good because everything is so fast, and it's so nice to slow down
Right.
and just read. And so
That's why,
that helps those people.
you said that, the prize winner of Defiance, Ohio, I think it was. Uh, there was a
Yeah.
movie and there was a book, and you said the book was better. And as authors, we always believe the book is better than the movie. It's just, and for me, it always is, because you get to live with the story longer when you're reading than when you watch a movie and it's sort of served to you. It's not as
Right.
it's not as interactive in a sense. You don't get to build the characters and so on in the same way as when you read, and you start to envision the world and the experience and so on, and you get a you get to spend more time with them anyway. But we're now
Yeah,
hot.
I know. I'm sorry. I get so passionate. Like again, I said, we're cut from the same cloth. We are both extremely passionate about books, writing, and helping others achieve
Yes.
their goals.
So I just wanted, this has been a Book Marketing Success Podcast. I've been interviewing and talking with Carolyn Wilman. She's the author of You Can't Win If You Don't Enter, and that's true for anything in terms of marketing and so on. And then How to Win Cash. Plus she actually republished somebody else's book, The Name It and Claim It Game by Helene Hadsell. And, so she's shared so many good tips for us in terms of how we can go about living our lives, marketing our books, and winning at the game of life. So thank you, Carolyn. I much appreciate it. Maybe we'll set up another time to talk. Um, 6 months down the road, reconnect with me and we'll talk again.
I
Thanks a lot.
will.
Okay.
Thank you.
And again, contestqueen.com. Thanks.